Hey, are we on? Everybody. Leslie here. Leslie Plazz. And Zazoo Plazz. What is it? 7:07 Sunday morning. I'm up and at 'em early. Actually, I was up last night. I think I got up at was it 8 o'clock last night or something? So I've been up the whole night. Um, got all my workout in and everything done. It's the equinox. Is it today? No, it's yesterday. The Zazoo Plazz report. 9/22/24. Yeah, it's the equinox, the fall. It's the equal time when equal dark and night. Dark and Freudian slip. Dark and light. So equal. It's equal hours of daylight and night here in the northern hemisphere. So I got a good report today. It's coming up on fall here in the woodlands of Connecticut. Looking out. Oh, I took some pictures, but it's it's like things are just kind of turning yellow, golden, and you see a, a red leaf or an orange leaf here and there, but there are hints. It's one of those it's like I don't know whether to wear long pants or shorts. It's that period of the year where I'm trying to get ready. It's like capri season. All you like Gen X women out there were like, we're in our 50s. Like, what the hell am I going to wear today? I put on, I'm chilly. Then I get out of the shower. I'm like, I put out pants. And then I get out of the shower and I'm like, I'm hot. I'm going to wear shorts. And then a couple hours later, I freeze. I put on a sweatshirt. Anyway, I always think this time of year, it's I love it because the days are getting shorter. It's going to be sweater weather. I just bought some pumpkin spice K-Cups this week. And so I just had one yesterday, and I made pumpkin bread today. But you can't have pumpkin coffee with the pumpkin bread. So I had regular coffee this morning. I made my pumpkin bread. What I do is I eat couple slices, and then I package it up and I put half in the freezer. See, and then I'll have a little bit tomorrow, for my Sunday breakfast, which is going to be my Monday breakfast. But anyway, where was I? Oh, when I was up at the house, when my boys were there, my husband would like make, he'd sometimes make a bread, or I'd make a bread, and then I'd come up from my workout in the morning, and there'd be there'd be like crumbs. If the dog didn't eat, there'd be like one, like a little piece like that. Like, Mom, we saved you a piece. It'd be up on top of the fridge, so the dog wouldn't get it. And I'd be like, what the hell is this? So I never got to eat any. So I'm used to, I said, well, I gotta make it last. Then I realized I could put it in the freezer. Did you think anybody could talk for 3 minutes about quick bread? I could talk for 30 minutes about bread, but we have things to get to. So, okay, I mentioned that. And the other thing, and I'm going to do my anecdotes first this week. Welcome to my mind, my little world. This is the Zazoo Plazz report. If you're new here, this is my neighbor still asleep. My goal in life is to get to my own place, my own space, my little cabin in the woods or whatever it is, where I can wake up in the middle of the night and start doing whatever, being loud. So that's where I'm going. I have very simple goals. I want to be in a place where I can have my own studio and make noise at whatever time of day and not have to worry about bothering anybody. Because I got stuff to say, and I've been, held down my whole life and maybe lifetimes. But I have stuff to say. So now I'm going to say it. it's the heretic part of my life. I've been through the martyrdom, and now I'm in heretic. Anybody who's into human design, I'm a 3/5 manifesting generator, and I got things to manifest, right, to create. So to me, the opposite of conflict, like they say in Rent, the opposite of war isn't peace, it's creation. That's the theme for today. War versus peace and, creation. So, yeah, the cabin in the woods. So it's all tied together today. And then we got a trip back to 1994, 3, 4, depending if you're in Canada, if you're in the US, I think it was 1994 that this came out. We got a little bit of alternative, uh, sort of soothing music for today. It sounds soothing. Now, we're going into Libra season. So not only are we talking about balance, right? The dark, the light, we got to keep things equal, right? Not too much work or play, you know. And then, so the readings for the week are very interesting because they're taking us into this duality. They're showing, you know, um, the two sides of people, right? The, and you can never, you know, I think that one of the highest things we can do, as creative people, or just as humans, is to try to understand another person's point of view, where somebody else is coming from. Um, if it's different from yours, right? Trying to understand, what would make this person act this way, right? So it's Libra is all about, the other, like wanting to be in relationship with the other, or and sometimes that can go overboard, where and I'm a Scorpio. Scorpio is about that. It can go into like possession and obsession, all those essions, right? But I digress, and I'm getting way ahead of myself today. So just one more little anecdote. I have a resident spider. She's a big spider. And, you know, during the day I go out there and I whack down the spider webs. And every night she's back. Big old spider. I go out there and there's this, every time she comes back, she builds a bigger web as if to say, maybe I'm dealing with Athena or whatever. Who's the in myth, the one who spins all the, you know, what a magnificent web we weave. She comes back as if to say, I'll show you. And every night that web is more magnificent than the one before. And I looked it up and they said, spiders are good luck. She's protecting me. She's showing me persistence and patience and, work, taking pride in your work. But I said, okay, I got to go out. I did my laundry at like 5 in the morning. I said, you stay over there. When I went out, it was like 4:45 in the morning. She was there. Then when I came back from doing my laundry, she was gone. Like, and I figured it out like an hour before dawn. She takes off. It's still dark, but she leaves. So, um, yes. So stay tuned for the continuing saga of my Charlotte's Web. That book we all read when we were kids by E.B. White. Oh, I love that book. With Wilbur the pig and Charlotte. And then they did the movie with Julia Roberts as Charlotte. And I love that. So anyway, diving in here. Oh, one more anecdote. I got a lot this week. My kid, the Yukon student, the forestry guy, the firefighter. Um, so I stumbled upon a local article by the Department of Energy and Protection where I used to work a few years ago. And, I had taken this kid when I worked there. I was in the communications department, public relations, public affairs. And the commissioner let instead a bunch of us could go out with the wildlife folks and track bears, which they didn't always do. What people, not anybody could do it. You had to be, invited. So I was invited, and they said I could, bring my son. So I took him. He was in like seventh grade or sixth grade or something. He was like 11. He was in sixth grade, I think. And I took him out of school for the day and took him bear tracking. And he said that one day I took him out of school was kind of, they had a museum up there at the wildlife. It's called Sessions Woods. It's out in the sort of to the west of Hartford. There's a lot of woods out there, past Burlington, Connecticut, where they put collars on the bears and they track them. So he got to see all that, and he got to be in the office there and see all the wildlife stuff and talk to the wildlife guys and go out in the woods and they tranquilized the bears, the mama bear and her cubs. It was in like March. He got to put his hand on the sleeping cubs. He was blown away. So now he's studying forestry. He says, Mom, so I sent him the article, long story short, about, bears breaking into houses and, they're really having to crack down on the bear. And he has done bear studies since he's been out of UConn through the environmental school that he's in, which is so cool. But you have to walk the walk for your kids. You can't just say, go into this. The fact that I was actually involved in environmental, science, the fact that his dad actually was out there, taking him on scouting trips, that is what your kids need. You have to walk your walk. You can say all these great things, but if you don't walk the walk, you need to show it, right? You need to show, and then the universe will bless you, right? If you show that your heart is pure and your intentions are good, then whatever you go out and try to do will be successful, right? And everyone involved will benefit versus tearing people apart. Okay, so he says, "Oh, Mom," so I sent him this thing, and that's how I do. Instead of saying, "Oh, you haven't texted me," I said, "Oh, I'm thinking about Zach. I'm going to send him this thing because it's funny about the bears, because we have that little relationship, that little thing going with the wildlife. We have that experience in common." And so he gets right back to me. It was like midnight. And he's up. He's like, "Oh, Mom, I'm doing this." I'm all excited. I'm doing a bobcat tracking. And I got to meet some USDA trappers, who were going out. And he's got to determine, they've got the students, 21-year-old kids, going out and in the woods near Yukon and all over, looking at where the bobcats are going, and where there's overlap, and it's fascinating, right? So, and he's like, "Oh, Mom, the newest Wimpy Kid Diary for Wimpy Kid book is coming out by Jeff Kinney." He has the whole collection. So one year for Christmas, I think it was the last book. This is book 19 that's coming out. Hot Mess, I think it's called. Um, I'm a big fan of those books. I'm a big fan of Jeff Kinney, if he's listening. My kid loves your books, both of them, but especially the younger one. The older one was more into Lemony Snicket, but he did read. He did read the Wimpy Kid books too. They both did, but my younger one was of an age when they started coming out. So he read all. He's like, "Mom, the latest book is coming out," and I said, "Does he want it for himself, or does he want to give it to me? Does he think that I'm, because I'm the biggest kid. I'm a bigger kid than he is. Anyway, we'll see what happens." So I said, "Want to put it on your Santa list and then I can borrow it?" So anyway, all right, getting to the readings quickly. Book of Wisdom, right? The wicked puts the just one to the test. To condemn him to death and see if God will take care of him. Okay, so he's the prophet. It is, in the book of wisdom, you know, talking about what Jesus was going to go through, right? Um, it foretelling, right? We're talking about. There's all these hints now of what's going to happen to Jesus, right? And in the Old Testament, book of wisdom, they're talking about somebody, in the future. So he's the fulfillment of what they were talking about way back when. Say, you know, these wicked people, they talk about the wicked. Uh, there are people who are, not being truthful. Instead of wicked, let's say they're people who are not walking their talk, right? So maybe their intentions aren't pure. They see this guy out there. He's just doing things selflessly, out of just the goodness of his heart, right? Because it's the right thing to do for him or her, right? And they see that person shining their light brightly, right? Being real, being authentic. And they're like, you know what? That guy's making us look bad. He looks right through us and he can see that we're not on the up and up, right? So let's do bad things to that person and attack that person to see if God, if he's real. Is he really being protected? All right. So this isn't just ancient scripture, right? This is now, people. So whoever's listening to this, you're meant to find my message. Maybe we can make something out of it that applies to your own life. I hope so. At the very least, I hope you find my little chats entertaining because I'm a former, Catholic CCD teacher, and I kind of, I miss teaching those kids, but maybe the inner child in you will find my little talks entertaining. Anyway, then we have the Psalms. It's the Lord upholds my life. Once again, there's this theme, right, of somebody, seeing someone shining brightly. You know, maybe it's somebody, a celebrity, a singer, somebody who's just, some sort of, trying to help people. Whatever walk of life, whatever, it doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from, whatever, what you're doing. You're trying to do something out of the goodness of your heart. You're an individual on the planet trying to do good just because that's who you are, right? That's your mission. And you've come to realize that this is my work in the world, right? So you're out there doing your thing, talking to yourself. 7 in the morning on some anyway. And people attack the just one. Because they aren't focused on God. The Lord upholds my life is the psalm, but the verses of the psalm are basically talking about people because they're not focused on God, right? They're focused on these people who are doing good. They're focused on God and how best to serve, right, and be their true selves, right? They're creating versus destroying, right? People who are not focused on God will find things to fight about, right? You know those people on social media, the haters or whatever they call. You know the type. There are people who go on social media and they're making jokes and I do this. I try to find a common thread between, I see someone's comment and I say, gee, we disagree about something. But, and this person is angry or upset or whatever at somebody. And, I try to make light of it in a way that, you know, in which I can understand where that person's coming from. Maybe I'll ask them a question. Are you saying this? Oh, is this what you mean? Or, have you noticed this? Or, I you know, from what I understand, are you saying this? Asking them. to first understand, like the prayer of St. Francis, instead of judge. Say, oh, am I correct in this, you know, in thinking that this is where you're coming from? Or knowing, seeking to know, right? So that's the theme. Um, so then we have good James. So jealousy and selfish ambition leads to disorder and foul fruit. In other words, your fruits, what you get out of things, is what you sow, right? What you put into them. So the pure of heart want to cultivate peace, right? And that's if they're pure, gentle, merciful, right? You have good intentions toward people. You're going to get something good out of it, right? Eventually, God's going to bless you with what you want, right? Which is, whatever heaven is to you, that's what you'll get. But you have to sow that. And you can't just ask, oh, I want lots of money and fame. And if you're doing it from a place of wanting to, you know, just serve yourself and say, I'm better than that person, right? Then you won't get it. And if you get it, it will cost you. It won't be what you want, okay? They say wars and conflicts come because people don't have things that they want. They don't ask for them. And if they ask for them, they don't ask with a pure heart, okay? So what we have is talking about possession. And that reminded me of the Sarah McLachlan song, Possession. I said, Possession? What? How do I know that song? All right, 1994 it was released in the US. That's how I know it. 93 in Canada. Yeah, I know some people talk about, joke about the Sarah McLachlan song. She's amazing. She's great. But, them being, especially in the 90s, really she was so popular. Um, and just, her songs are very, very heartfelt, very, you kind of have to be in the right mood, you know, very deep and very, soulful, I would say. Um, and I like her music. I do. It's she founded Lilith Fair, and I have a strong Lilith. I have Lilith square my sun, and Lilith is that dark, raw, female, like almost hidden, just kind of like that, which are, and it's not just women, men have Lilith too. Fraser's Fraser's wife Lilith, she's a bad, she's a powerful, feminine. Somebody's texting me. So anyway, so we have quickly, we have the gospel. Jesus and his disciples go sneaky down to Galilee. Sort of, they're going, they don't want to be noticed. He's teaching them these very important things. He's trying to tell them what's going to happen to him, how he's going to die and he's going to rise again. And they don't get it. And they're not asking him because they don't have that childlike curiosity, right? To ask him. I mean, in retrospect, they probably look back and go, if we had known we weren't going to have him, we would have asked him all these questions, right? But they were so focused in arguing with each other as they went. And he knew this. They did it behind his back, but he knew it because he could, like a good teacher, saw behind his back, he could hear. With not, so much seeing or hearing like we do with our senses, but he sensed, he felt that he could feel the aura, even if they were a mile away. He could feel that aura. Of, like kids, if you ever be on a road trip with somebody, right? You're, or you're with, you can, even if people aren't saying anything, you could feel, right? You're in a car with people, you could feel that. Or if you're in a classroom and you've ever had the opportunity to be, a teacher or something, I would know when somebody was goofing off and who was goofing off, even if I wasn't, like, I had my back turned, right? All good teachers are like that. And Jesus was a teacher, so he knew, right? He knew that they were all, gossiping and fighting and who's the best and oh, he likes me better than you. Oh, I'm better at this, I'm gonna get a better grade than you in this class and blah blah blah. You've been in a class, right? Anyway, so that's what was going on, right? And he said, he who wishes to be first, or the person, he or she who wishes to be first, shall be the last and the servant of all, right? So uh, the thing is, they were asking the wrong questions. They, you know, it's like saying, oh, I had the best childhood. But, so and so is gone now. I wish I could have asked my grandmother this question, right? If I had known, right? But, like, not being in the moment. These apostles were not in the moment. They weren't taking advantage of the creativity, the possibility, just the curiosity, letting their curiosity lead them to ask Jesus, well, what do you mean, in a pure way? They were afraid to ask him because, just the way that we are afraid of, spiritual knowledge, we're not ready. They weren't ready. They were afraid of how it was going to shatter their world if they knew. They didn't want to know. They wanted to be in the dark. See? So, okay, this is the song then. She's Canadian, Sarah McLachlan. So this was the first possession, was the first single from her album, Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. September 10th, 93, it was released in Canada as a single from that album. 94, I think the video came out in 94. In the US, it got, so the video in the US was the band playing in like a cathedral type of hall, like a church. Very cool. It got on the Hot 100, got to number 73, but on the alternative chart, it got to 4. And the year end, it was 27 on the alternative chart in the US. So it did all right. But it was just very haunting, very haunting. I remember, what was like 27 when it came out, 28. I was 20, 27, 28. Yeah, that was a very 90s. Some of those songs were pretty intense for us. So what happened? But the story behind this song is really it. It's from the point of view of she had received, I guess, over the years, two in particular, but many, stalker letters. Two in particular, right? The most famous one was a computer programmer from Ottawa. You can read about it, and I don't have time to go in. And he did not end well. It did not end well, and there's a bit of a mystery connected to how he died. He sued her. He had written her. He had a fantasy about her, right? That he was, they were in a relationship, which was not so. But he wrote her all these poems, and then, it out of many of these stalker letters, she wrote the lyrics, the song. But he sued her, saying that, she stole his. She didn't give him credit for his words, but there's no proof that she used his direct exact words. So but he died mysteriously before they could go to trial. So he was not a peaceful man. However he died, he was not a peaceful man. And so that didn't accomplish anything really. But she said her writing the song was very therapeutic. It healed her, her and a lot of other people who've been in situations like that. Plus, it's a great song. I mean, it really is. So listen to it. I'll put and her aim was to heal. Her aim was not to disrupt. Okay. So until next week, I gotta get going. That's the Zazoo Report. Peace to you, and make it a great week. I'll be back next time. Bye bye.